dog bed's just a couch on the floor.
Yeah, but it's not mine. It's the dog's couch.
Oh, okay, I understand.
So if the dog is wet, that's the appropriate place for the dog to go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here. Jessa did a hat, so I'm going to do this. Yeah, sorry that the stream was late. I forgot to set where it was going to stream to in OBS. And then after I hit go live, I noticed and I was like, oh, maybe I should fix that. So I stopped it quickly. And apparently I couldn't go to the one that I have scheduled. So there's still a stream scheduled for 8:30 that is not live on my channel, but it ain't this one.
On my end, I cooked dinner during that whole time and forgot to cook the rice, which was like the main part of the dinner. So I have these fire roasted vegetables and I have this grilled chicken, and yeah, they taste great, but they're a little over seasoned because they're supposed to pair with rice, which is supposed to balance that out. And now I'm just sad. Thank
you for the hydrate Conton 83 and also the hats, Jassa. And yeah, so we were discussing my wet dog when we came in because she just got back from a walk and it's raining here, so she is wet. And Heidi was like, not on my couch, so locked her in here with me. So now she's got a big floofy dog bed right behind me. But instead of sitting in her big comfy floofy dog bed, she's over there standing with her nose at the door, just staring at the door, waiting for someone to let her out. It's kind of sad.
It's not gonna happen.
Puddles, you're a sad dog. Yeah, you. Oh, I see that tail wagging. You're not sad anymore because I paid attention to you. Yeah, come here. Come in. Yes, I am streaming right now. I know you don't like being on. She can tell when I'm working. She doesn't like joining me when I'm working. Come on.
People in chat are like, how about instant rice next time? No. When it comes to rice, I have standards.
Who's your good girl? You coming up? No, she's like, I don't trust you. I know you're streaming. I don't trust you. Okay. You're wet anyways. I don't want you on my lap. Oh, now you're coming up. Are you coming up now? Yeah, there we go. Come on. No? She just can't make up her mind. Okay, whatever. I'll leave my armrest up and put this up here so it's not in her way. Oh, yeah, hello. So, VR accidentally A button. What A button? Did I push the A button?
Did you accidentally, like, have sound or something?
No, my sound is still going. I don't know. Oh, smelly dog. Wet dog, smelly dog. Yeah, so, guess what happened to me this past week?
What happened to you this past week?
So Heidi likes to send me things on Facebook because she'll scroll the Facebook Messenger. No, not Messenger. The Facebook Reels or whatever the fuck they're called over there. And normally I look at them on my phone and, I give the appropriate reaction and we move on. But the other day I was on my computer when I clicked on one and I noticed that my computer is still logged into my Vice Rhino Facebook that I haven't touched in ages.
Oh, this is the story you told me earlier.
Yeah. You know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And so I looked up and I saw that my unread message count was like somewhere in the millions. Not really, but like there's a bunch of unread messages. So I'm like, oh, maybe I should no, I don't need more on my plate. I'm not going on to Facebook to answer messages. But I still had the thought that like, oh, maybe I should at least read some of them. Someone sent me nudes like 2 years ago. And it was like, it was in response to a stream I did with Heidi, I think, because she was like, oh, I heard you like redheads. I will entice you and Heidi with this picture here. And I'm just like, okay, I've clicked on the message, so it is a red message now. So that person will see that it is a red message. Potentially. I don't know. It's an old one, so they might not ever see that it was red. But now I'm like, it's a bit weird that they are potentially going to be able to see that I read their message. And then I'm like, oh, should I send them a message to make it less weird? I'm like, no, there's no way to send a message to someone who sent you a nude picture 2 years ago that you ignored without it getting weird.
Yeah, you've just kind of sealed your fate on that one. That's it.
Progress Only says, you could reply to emails sometimes, LOL. Yeah, ask the people who pay me money to reply to their emails sometimes. as to how good I am at that. Like, y'all think I'm bad at responding to my fans? I don't even respond to the people that pay me money to respond to them.
I have similar problems where, like, so one of the rewards for my Patreon is that you get your name in the end credits. I cannot remind myself every time when somebody hops in for me to like go update the end credits every single time. So I'm just like, yep, once a month I do that, and if I don't do it once a month, it just simply doesn't get done, and that's how my brain works, and I'm so sorry.
Okay, everybody in the Twitch chat is all like, no, block them. We don't like non-consensual nudes. I'm like, I guarantee I said something on stream that made it okay. I have given you guys permission to send me pictures of your dicks on more than one occasion. So like, I'm not going to pretend like, oh, I am shocked that somebody followed through with this thing that I say all the time.
I'm also gonna say that, like, so on my part, for funsies, there's a friend of mine who I'm going to be going to see at Anime Week in Atlanta, and I was trying to find a picture of her to show to Saki so I could be like, hey, this is the friend I'm going to go meet. We've only been able to hang out at cons before. And when I tried to show Saki the picture, it's just like, I can't find a picture of her on her social media that isn't her naked. And she's just like, yeah, but, and I'm not going to say the friend's name, but she said, yeah, but your other friend I've also seen naked. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess it doesn't really matter at that point. Fuck it.
Yeah, and like, no,
Fuck it.
Don't get me wrong.
Nothing.
I am 100% on board with absolutely no non-consensual nudes. I'm just not comfortable. Like, I forget what I said last week. I have a story this week that I'm not sure if I covered last week. I feel like I wanted to cover it last week. It was around last week. I remember looking at it and considering, but I think I didn't actually cover it. But so we might get some double coverage here. So like, I'm not going to pretend like someone sending me nudes 2 years ago was non-consensual. I very well could have said something. And I also, like, stuff like that doesn't bother me at all. So like, everyone can send me a nude and I would not care. Like that, the worst case reaction is that I would not care. Best case reaction, be like, oh, that's nice.
Just please make sure that if you are sending things, please make sure that you're a fucking adult.
Yes, yeah, okay, absolutely. I assumed that went without saying, but thank you for making that explicit.
That should go without saying. However, there are people who are very stupid. And I've seen this shit happen to other content creators before, so I'm just gonna make sure that it's blatant.
Yeah, that is absolutely 100%. I will send dick pics, not dick pics. That's dick pics are always appreciated. Those things are adorable.
As are boobies.
They're more goofy. They're derpy. Boobies are derpy.
Derpy is adorable.
Derpy can be adorable.
Derpy can be adorable.
But it's a different kind of adorable.
Adorable's adorable.
Yeah. Derpy is adorkable. Anyway. So you know how there's been all this kerfuffle recently about Congress people being able to trade stocks and how that shouldn't be allowed?
Yeah.
Did you hear how Mike Johnson responded to that?
I'm very curious as to how he responded to one of the easiest ways to signal corruption in politics.
Oh, well, Congress needs stock trading in order to support their families because their salaries have been frozen since 2009.
The minimum wage hasn't fucking changed in 2 decades, dipshit! No. You don't get to cheat the fucking system when nobody else has been able to get fucking pay raises without having a chance of their job being taken away from them because union protections are being taken away. Absolutely fucking not!
Cirrus is not having
die
this.
in a fire.
Yeah. I agree. I did not expect that reaction, but...
Oh, no. See, this shit pisses me off. This shit pisses me off more than many things.
Really? I wouldn't have known.
No. So remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene was worth a few $100,000 when she became my representative, and she's now worth well over 25 million.
Mm-hmm.
This shit not only hits close to home, but hearing the idea that people with salaries of 140 fucking thousand, that you had to have a lot of money in order to get the position in the first place, because in Georgia, to run for a fucking thing, you have to be able to provide 10% of the yearly salary of the position up front. So you have to have money to play the fucking game, and then when you do have it, you have a fucking pension, you have the ability to call on security, your life is basically goddamn lavish, you are making well over a six-figure income, and you're upset about that being what's frozen? Shut the fuck up!
And then once you're done, you have the potential for just living the rest of your life doing speaking gigs for $10,000 a pop.
Yeah.
At, like, college commencement addresses and motivational things and at events and whatever the fuck. And 10,000 is on the low end for those guys. Like, how much do you think Obama charges for speech? But yeah, so Johnson noted that congressional salaries have been frozen since 2009 while speaking to the press on Wednesday. When you adjust for inflation, Congress today is making 31% less than they made in that year. It goes down every year, he said. For the record, a congressional salary is $175,000. The
Mike
U.S.
Johnson makes $223,000.
Yeah, but the U.S. median income is about $80,000. So these guys are making twice the median income if they make no other money from their job. I feel like that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable amount at that point. Like, it's obviously it's more than a reasonable amount. It's an unfair amount. So I'm of the opinion that public servants should make a lot of money. I am of that opinion because I am of the opinion that they should not be able to be bought. I am of the opinion that they should be comfortable enough that they do not need fucking bribery money. However,
on the flip side of that,
idea of comfortable enough and Mike Johnson's idea of comfortable enough seem to be in two different stratospheres.
So that's where I was going to go. I disagree. I am of the opinion, now, it depends on the level. Like, I feel like being on your city council or whatever should come with probably more benefits than it does.
Yeah, if you're city councilor here in Georgia, you make $20,000.
Yeah,
you make less than a McDonald's worker, and you work more hours.
Yes. So I feel like they need a pay bump. But at the same time, in the same vein, because the salary is so low, you only get people running for it for the most part that actually like are passionate about it for one reason or another. Now, a lot of times the reason they're passionate about it is because they're members of Moms for Liberty and they're just part of a astroturfing campaign to get LGBTQ books removed from local libraries. So I'm not saying that making them uncomfortable or like making the salaries uncomfortably low is necessarily going to solve any corruption issues, but we should at the very least not make the job, especially in the higher offices, it should not be an enticing job for the money. It should be, I want to do this job because I am passionate about actually serving the American people. And it's really hard to actually put anything in place that will effectively get rid of anyone that's just looking for their own income. Because like even if they didn't get paid at all, they win with influence. Like I said, you can do public speaking gigs as like, oh yeah, I'm a sitting senator, so of course I will come and speak to your event for $10,000. But yeah, no, I don't feel like they should have lavishly extravagant salaries. I also don't feel like they should be getting nothing. Yeah, Progress Only is in the chat, says they get paid $8,000 a year on the city council, I think it is. So
you get paid less than the city council here, or you get paid less than the council here.
Yeah. So and Progress Only, as we have seen, is very passionate about the job. And that's the kind of person we want. Her paws are still kind of wet. You want to dry her paws before you let her on the couch. But the rest of her seems okay. Dog is free. Yeah, no, it should... I don't like the idea of them being able to get rich in Congress. But I don't know how to fix it. But it, like them saying like, oh yeah, I need to be able to engage in insider trading to make bank off the stock market because like I
just need to be able to make ends meet.
That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying is like, if you stay on this trajectory, you're going to have less qualified people who are willing to make the extreme sacrifice to run for Congress. It's not a sacrifice if you're making millions of dollars doing it. We've discussed on this channel before that it is such a cushy job. A lot of the senators and House representatives that, like, a lot of them don't do anything. They just sit there. They don't introduce legislation. They don't advocate for things. They don't sit on council positions or committees. A lot of them don't do that stuff. They just sit in the background. You never hear about them in the news. They just quietly collect their salary, vote on bills, and do nothing else. It is such a cushy job, and they get like several months out of the year off in vacation time. Paid time off, several months. Like, how long is Congress out of session for in a year?
I don't know off the top of my head, actually.
Aren't there like several instances where they take a 2-month break?
I don't know, and
How long is Congress in session? Days in session, U.S. Congress. I just want a total. I don't want to have to count. But yeah, okay. Just like they get, just in these months, they got like April, they've got 4 days off in the middle of the month, in the middle of the week. March, same thing, as well as well, I guess was that a holiday? I don't know. But also, like, how long is the break in between sessions? Because that's the whole session, but it goes till... No, May, April... Wait, what? January, February, March... Okay, no, it's... Oh, sorry, they got the months going from bottom to top. I don't know. April, they have 4-day weeks. Yeah. Why are there so many zeros in the calendar? Because they're lazy. Is my guess. Okay.
They work less. They average 147 legislative days annually.
So 147. Oop, that's for later. 147 days out of the year they work. How many days are there in the year? 365.
365.
147 out of 365. So that's 40% of the year. Now, certainly there are members of Congress that spend non-legislative days doing things like writing laws and shit. But there are a lot that don't. And there are a lot that, even if they do, they just are like, hey, I want a law that does this. Intern, do that for me. Aide, do that for me. So it's a very cushy job. Incredibly cushy. Like, if I could get paid nearly $200,000 a year and only work to work less than half the year, that's an amazingly cushy job. Especially when working is just sitting in a room and being like, yes, no, and that's it. Now, I'm not saying that all Congress members are like that, but it's a non-zero number. They work less days than the average fourth grader. True.
But says that's less than me as a teacher, and I only get paid 10 months out of the year. Yeah, Congress gets paid even when they're not in session.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, AOC and Bernie are in the minority. Yeah, so they are ones that I would say are working on their off days. But here's the thing. How many jobs can you have that also give you the chance to do a national speaking tour on your off days? Like, That's like, they shouldn't have the time to be doing what they're doing. I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, but given their jobs, they should not have the time to do that.
Also, Mion and Stankfoot, thank you for the resubscription. Said, is it real? Is what real? Also, thank you for the 100 bits as well.
Is real?
It said, is it real?
Yeah, I took the it out to make it a country.
Some people would disagree.
That's the joke. Is real? Maybe not. Depends who you ask.
Oh, whoa.
They yearn for the mines. Yearn, I say, for $2. Thank you, Jester.
I am just remembering the episode of Rick and Morty. All right. We have gotten Israel and Gaza to sign the pretty fucking obvious, if you think about it for more than 10 seconds plan.
Yeah, so Johnson goes on to say, at least let them, like, engage in some stock trading so that they can continue to take care of their family. $
200 and something thousand a year is plenty to take care of your family. What?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be right back. Not to scream, but maybe to scream. It's not to scream.
He's gonna scream into the rice bowl. Every other year, the House does not work in just campaigns. Yep, they do. That is true. So now I get to vamp. Well, you know what? Cirrus is gone. We'll bring the poop back. I don't know if he needs to poo again, but that's the emoji we're using. It's not like it's not like there's a reason why they have to buy a house in DC. I mean, I feel like it is reasonable for them to have a place to stay in DC that is paid for by the government, but I also feel like that's something that already happens. I don't know that for sure. But I feel like there is a place. I feel like that's a thing. Of course, he has to scream into the rice bowl. The void is full up. Yeah, we've been screaming into the void so much in this Trump presidency that the void has filled up. That's how much bullshit Trump does. And we're not even halfway through his first year, guys. We're not even halfway through Trump's first year in office.
Oh, whoa.
Thank you, my own and Stankfoot, for resubscribing. And he says, is this just fantasy?
Oh, whoa.
Caught in a landslide. There's no escape from reality. Open your eyes. Look up for the skies and see. I'm just a poor boy making $175,000 a year. Did you mean to not go live on YouTube tonight? Sorry if this was already addressed. I am currently live on YouTube. I just had an issue at the beginning. And, oh yeah, that's right. Johnson makes 223. So I am currently live on YouTube. I'm just not live on the one that I scheduled because I forgot to configure OBS to go to that one. And it created a new stream rather than going to the one that I asked it to go to. So, meh.
Why am I poop again?
Because you disappeared again. I have that on a button now. That's my Cirrus's AFK emoji.
Have you seen what the fan artists have done with the backward spelled version of my name?
No.
Because apparently my name is reversed on Zoom.
Yeah. So when you were in the hotel having issues, you were backward Cirrus for a while.
Yep.
I saw them chatting about that. I didn't see any art. Are you sending me stuff?
Yep, I'm sending you stuff. Where do you want me to throw it?
Just send it on WhatsApp.
Okay. Fucking move, Opera.
Is it Opera GX?
Yep.
Gaming browser. Okay. Yin Yang Cirrus?
Now Cirrus is considered its own separate character.
It's upside down green Cirrus. Okay.
And there's a few of these in here, but I don't.
Most of them I can't show on stream.
One of them you 100% can't show on stream.
Okay.
And
I have to show at least one of these things so that people can see it.
I'm gonna send you the one that you can't show on stream.
Okay, I will. I'm currently getting the one that I can show on stream up and running. Doop, 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 doop. Ooh, whoop. Life's better with sound effects. Boop. There's Sear Us. There's Cirrus and Sear Us. And now I have to go see the NSFW one, apparently.
Yeah.
Backward Cirrus is really giving it to you.
Yep, that's the role that the thing that everybody agreed on was that Cirrus, being my character's opposite, has to have a flat chest.
Oh, that's not the detail that I noticed first. It was the fist in the bumhole that I noticed first.
It was the fist in the butthole that you noticed first? Over
That's
anything else?
Yep. Okay, so... Yeah, Forest Wren, if you really want to see all the fan art that I can't show you on here, I guess you have to join Cirrus's Discord. Which, I don't know how to do that. I think I'm in it, but I don't have Discord on my computer anymore, because I am old man who yells at cloud. Okay.
You know who else is old man who yells at cloud?
Who?
Sephiroth.
Doesn't he become the cloud? Oh, yeah, oh, no, never mind. I was thinking his boss transformation at the end. They're like, nope, I'm putting too much thought into this joke.
Nope. Although they did reveal the Sephiroth card, and it does have the transform mechanic where it turns him into his final boss fight form.
Okay. Anyway, back to insider trading among the Congress people. Adam Schiff and AOC are calling for an investigation into insider trading after the NASDAQ call volume showed large spikes on April 9th, minutes before Trump announced a pause on tariffs for non-retaliating countries. So... Oh, I'm sorry, Artemis. I didn't see the I didn't see the hat notification. So yes, I will. There are no new hats, but I will put on a hat for what you redeemed. So thank you for redeeming that.
So would you say that that's old hat?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, so a little bit suspicious that right before Trump announces a thing that is going to make the market spike, there was a bunch of market trading. Like, that should be investigated.
But it won't be.
I mean, I don't know.
Yep.
There won't be a congressional investigation. Even if there was, it's not going to find any, or like, even if they find anything, no action's going to be taken. But
so Congress is going to investigate Congress to see if Congress did wrongdoing.
Mm-hmm. So Republican Representative Rob Bresnahan did introduce a bill to ban congressional stock trading, but then he went on to make over $5.6 million with 490 trades since he was elected. So
I should ban this so nobody can get it after I got it.
Yeah. Basically, I want to be popular for saying the thing that people want to hear, but I still want to do the thing that is very unpopular.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That's that. Mike Johnson, he just wants to feed his family. He can't do that with only $200 and whatever $1,000 a year. Oh. And God, he needs to pay for the subscription to see his son's porn use.
I forgot he did that.
Yeah, no, never forget that Mike Johnson and his son look at each other's porn.
No. They hold each other accountable. I
feel like that's just a surreptitious porn sharing app, because it it gives you, like, I don't know if you've looked into the details of how the app works, but it actually tells you specifically what was watched. So it's like, oh, this is what you enjoy. I wonder if I'd enjoy that.
Son, I need to know if you're beating it off to chicks with dicks. And when you find one with big boobs, you need to send it to me.
Covenant Eyes is expensive. That it is, apparently. Okay, moving on. Jehovah's Witnesses are suing a reporter for wiretapping after inviting him on a call. So this is the Pete Hegseth thing, but with Jehovah's Witnesses instead of the government.
Oh boy.
So it's actually a lot funnier because this is not people that are responsible for the lives of people in the military. So yeah, the JWs are suing one of their longtime critics for what they claim is illegal wiretapping and an invasion of their privacy. So yeah, this is in the wake of Pennsylvania opened an investigation into the JWs covering up sex abuse, and they found that they were keeping internal records about people that were accused of sexual abuse, but they refused to share that list publicly. So it's like, just like the Catholic Church, they have a list. Here's the people that we know are probably sexually abusing people. We're just going to keep this list to ourselves and not punish them in any way.
It's the Epstein files all over again.
Yep. So in the wake of the 2022 investigation, 4 men were charged for sexually abusing a total of 19 victims. And many more charges followed. At least 16 people have now been charged in these investigations. And the JWs are, of course, not worried about the victims. They're worried about their legal liability. So they scheduled a call with their lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the people that was supposed to be on the call invited this O'Donnell guy who, what's his name? Chris O'Donnell? Where did it say his name? Mark O'Donnell. So one of them invited Mark O'Donnell to the Zoom meeting. So, of course, he went on the call. He listened to the call. And then he did a YouTube live stream. Sorry? My tweezers. Did you get a sliver? I don't know that my tweezers are in here. I think they might be... might be in the little thingy on top of the washing machine. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, he listened in on the call, and then he did a YouTube live stream to talk about what they said, and so now they're suing him for wiretapping after they invited him. Are you still there?
Now I'm just reminded of so for some reason I put the image in my brain. Did you ever see the animated Flintstones movie? Not the one with real people in it that was horrible, but the man who was called Flintstone?
No, I don't think so.
There's a moment where somebody from a spy agency says, "Hold on a minute, I think my room is bugged." And it's the Flintstones, so of course when he finds the bug, it's literally a bug, an insect that is sitting there, but the insect is on a computer.
Jassa says, is he in a single-party state? Doesn't matter. He didn't record the meeting. He just was in the meeting and then talked about it later.
Talked about it afterwards.
So unless they got him to sign an NDA, he didn't break any laws. And I'm guessing they did not get him to sign an NDA. So in their lawsuit, they're alleging that now it's difficult to chat with their attorneys over Zoom because Mark made them have to meet in person to avoid additional interceptions. Apparently it never crossed their mind that they could always, just verify who's on the call before opening their mouths, or just not give login information to people they can't trust.
That sounds like you're telling politicians in a Signal chat to be more wary about shit like this. And, I find that offensive.
Well, I love this. They say, this isn't a real problem. This is an old people not knowing how computers work problem. But they're suing him for 4 laws, each requesting that for each breach he has to pay $700,000. They're saying he violated wiretapping and privacy laws, and that they're entitled to $2.8 million plus legal fees because of this.
Can they even prove enough damages to make that number?
Well, they're saying it's reputational damage, which, yeah,
the JWs fucked their own reputation. Also,
yeah, I'm like, what reputation do you have left when you are covering up child sex abuse?
They also only have reputational damage if they are an organization that can suffer reputational damage, which would make them a business.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. Well, it's also difficult for them because, like, of course, being invited to the call makes it hard to prove that he was violating wiretapping or privacy laws, as they are waiving their expectation of privacy when you invite someone to a meeting. They also, the YouTube video where he talked about it, they didn't ask him to take it down for a year, which it's kind of hard to prove that this is reputationally damaging if you didn't even bother to ask him to not talk about it after the fact. And then the fact that he did take the YouTube video down when they asked him looks really good on him. Because as far as I can tell, he didn't have to do that. He could have left it up. But so this isn't, I don't think this is actually about money. This is about them figuring out who gave him the login. Because this doesn't feel like a Pete Hegseth, oops, I accidentally clicked on the wrong number while creating a signal chat thing, because he was just like sent the login information. So this feels like someone who wanted him to be there and wanted him to have this information, but doesn't want the JWs to know that they're playing both sides, I guess. So this is more about him being forced to out his source rather than actually get paid. But he said that he's not going to do that, and because their case is so flimsy, there's a good chance that, like, they're probably going to lose and then have to pay his legal fees. Notably, he's not asking for donations.
I mean, this is one of those legal arguments that is easy to win. You don't need a whole lot of donations to win this. Just a lawyer with a little bit of...
He's saying that he estimates his legal costs are going to be in excess of like $15,000, or maybe it was $150,000. I'm bad with zeros, y'all.
Well, you know what that sounds? That sounds like he doesn't just need a legal team. It sounds like he needs an legal team.
God damn it, Cyrus. And if you want to see how this is being covered from all sides...
I love Legal Eagle, I really do, but that shit is burned into my brain now.
Yeah, no. I just, as soon as anyone, and it's not just Legal Eagle, it's everyone, because I've talked about this before, it's Ground News's requirement that you try and integrate their ad as seamlessly as possible into your video. So, like, you can't, I mean, obviously they have different rules for different people, because I have seen channels that are like, okay, it is time for ad breaks now, and one of those ads is Ground News. But like, when I did that, I'm like, but first a word from our sponsor, Ground News. They were like, nope, take that out and make it flow organically as though it's a part of the normal video. And I don't have the kind of clout to fight with that, so I was just like, okay, I'll do that, but I'm not renewing my contract. Yeah, but for Legal Eagle's advertising himself. I know, I'm aware of that, but he also does Ground News ads. And he does do the flow into it thing. And so, but like that has gotten me to the point where now anytime I see any YouTuber talking about a news item, I'm just waiting. I'm like clenched waiting for the Ground News.
That the Ground News thing is happening.
Yeah. And it's like there have been a few times where it hasn't happened, and it's just been like, my God, they have traumatized me. I've been traumatized by Ground News.
You have a trauma response.
I need to sue them.
Man, so there's a part of me that wants to get a Ground News sponsorship, because with as much as I stream and as much as YouTube keeps slashing payments for me, it still feels like maybe it's worth it on my end. But I haven't taken any sponsorships in a really long time, so maybe it's also just like the depleted resources from that.
I don't know what kind of offers you've been getting recently, but all of mine recently have been like, the offers have just been crap. It's like there's been no payment for the ad. It's just, we will give you a percentage of the sales that you generate. And I'm just like, no.
Everything I've got is that right now.
Yeah,
the only options I have are like the stream element ones at the moment that work like that.
I don't take those ones because that's impossible for me to verify. I much prefer the ones where it's like, I know what money I am going to get.
Yeah, it makes it easier to plan your finances that way.
And well, because I've been screwed over by companies like that in the past. I in my early days, I did take one of those ads, and I know for a fact that there were at least 7 sales from my ad, and I got nothing.
So, what's fun? This happened to Saki. She earned $12,000 from one of those because she, to be fair, it's because she lucked out. She had a friend who was a much bigger streamer than her shout out her advertisement and said, "Hey," I think it was either for Every Plate or it was for HelloFresh, and they shouted it out there and said, "Hey, this is my friend. She is trying to earn this. She needs this much," and she got her community to pitch in. And getting that much is only getting like 80 to 100 people signed up, and when you've got concurrent viewers in the thousands, that's not the hardest thing in the world to do.
Mm-hmm.
However, because of Saki's size, and because they saw her size and said, well, there's no way you could have gotten this, so they just counted it as fraud and then barred her from having any more advertisements like that ever again from Stream Elements.
Lovely.
And I had a conversation with them about this myself, because when I got contacted for a HelloFresh sponsorship a while ago, I was like, okay, look, y'all did actually screw over my partner, and I really would like to see that resolve before I work with you. And I basically got the, well, we can't really do that. It was flagged for fraud. Our system is built a certain way. We can't undermine that. We can't mess with that. I'm sorry that happened to your partner. We can offer you more money for your sponsorship if that makes up for it. And it's like the couple $100 you're handing me doesn't really make up for it.
It also, like, yeah, no, it doesn't make up for it. And also, like, how like, I've already seen you run away without paying one person, and now you're saying, oh yeah, no, because you're a different person, I will pay you more. I super duper promise. No, absolutely not. Like, once a company doesn't pay you, I'm like, nope, I don't trust you anymore. Bye.
Yeah, I ended up going with it anyway, only because we really needed the money for paying bills.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
It's a damned if you do situation there on the sponsorship side, but I have seen that experience, and that experience pisses me off because I've seen what they do.
Yes, Monorail's asking, do advertisers pay for every referral / coupon code or for general advertisements? So it can be either. Sometimes it's a mix of both. I prefer the ones that just pay me for an ad. Now, sometimes it'll be, sometimes there'll be like a minimum view count. Like, if your video gets to this many views, then we will pay you. But if it doesn't, then you don't get paid. That one, I don't like that, but I understand why they do it. I mean, I also understand why they do the commission ones, because then you're more likely to downplay whatever negatives you might see. It's like, take Raycon, for instance. I don't know if you noticed, but in my Raycon ads, I do not talk about their sound quality, because I know that Raycons are known for shit sound quality. I do not care about sound quality. Like I am not an audiophile. As long as I can hear it clearly, I don't care about anything else. So that's why I'm comfortable taking the advertisement. But like, I know that the audiophiles hate these earbuds, so I am not going to say that they have amazing sound quality, because that is a lie. And so I didn't. But like, if they were paying me in commission, then maybe I'd be like, yeah, you know what? It sounds okay to me, so I guess I can say that they have really good sound quality. So yeah, it encourages dishonesty on the part of the creators when they pay that way, which I understand why the brands do it, but I don't like it, and I'm bad at that, so I just don't take those ones, because I understand why a lot of brands don't want to work with me, because I'm not a good salesman. because I don't talk about how good the Raycons sound like everybody else is supposed to.
I just forget. Like, I've been doing this for years, and you'd think by now I would remember to say subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, go to
also,
Patreon.
I should probably remember to shout out the people sending me. So thank you for the hydrate, Treyas James, and hats off, Clueless Expert.
Like, you'd think I would remember to shout myself out a few minutes into every video, because it has a direct correlation with how well that video will do with engagement, and yet I still fucking don't. I'm just very bad at my job.
No, I don't watch Dank Pods. I don't know who Dank Pods is. I assume that's an audiophile who does not like Raycon, but those are easy to find. You don't need to look hard to find those. Anyway. Looks like there's a problem with this site.
It does look like there's a problem with this site.
Well, good thing we were done with that news item. So moving on. In a similar vein, the Catholic Church is threatening to excommunicate priests who don't follow a new law. Guess what the new law is? It's a law that makes them mandatory reporters when they find out about child abuse.
Oh.
Just do what Gray Still Plays does and smash the Raycons with a sword or something for the sponsorship. So fun fact, I actually did ask. So the first pair of Raycons that they sent me, I was like, they're my shower buds because they say they're water resistant or whatever. So I wanted to do a bit where I like used them in the shower and did part of the ad read like in the shower with shampoo all over my hair or whatever. So like I tested them. I put them in my ears. I used them in the shower. I shampooed my hair, rinsed, made sure they got wet, made sure they got shampoo on them to see how they held up. And it was fine. So I'm like, I want to advertise that. I feel like that would be a good selling point. But they're like, no. They said, no, you can't do that. So I'm like, okay, fine. The new set, when I went to the website, they advertise that they can survive being put in the wash. My old Raycons died when I put them in the wash. So I'm like, this is perfect for me. Can I put them in the wash on purpose to test that claim? And they were like, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. I'm like, but you advertise it this time. I get the shower thing. You didn't want me doing that because you didn't say that that was okay. Clean your ears. Yes, I know to clean my ears. I don't wear buds in the shower every time. But I
have forgotten and
I
just brought my earbuds in with me when I've gone to the gym shower.
I can't do that. I am constantly aware when I'm wearing headphones. I actually don't particularly like earbuds. I prefer over the ear, but they don't get along with my glasses. Which, for the record, are not fixed. I just bent the thing back and the arms stayed attached, but they're a little bit crooked now, and if I have another incident, they will just be done forever. But they're good enough for now. But yeah, so Catholic Church, Washington State made it, okay, we got the highlights. So Washington State passed a bill to make Catholic priests mandatory reporters because they had an exemption before. Mandatory reporter, if you're not familiar, that's like teachers and doctors and things. When they have good reason to believe that there is abuse of a child, they are required to report it to law enforcement or child protective services. Priests have been exempt from that because of the sacrament of the confessional, where if we learn about it in confession, that is a sacred place. So we cannot violate the sanctity of the confessional by telling, because then people won't confess to us anymore. And it's important that they be able to confess because they need to be absolved of their sins. It's like, okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about in my videos when I talk about how Christianity encourages people to, instead of actually seeking to repair relationships and earn forgiveness from the people that you wronged, you instead just apologize in your heart and now everything's fine. But the person that you wronged is still, they get the short end of the stick. So this is exactly that. Like,
yeah.
No, the whole point of confessing is that you're supposed to be repentant. If you are repentant, then you should turn yourself into the police. So if you're not willing to turn yourself into the police, then the confession should be null and void anyway. So the way I see it, if you're confessing that to your priest, yeah, the priest can be a mandatory reporter, and that should be fine. But yeah, so the new law demands that Catholic priests violate their deeply held faith in order to obey the law, a violation of the Constitution and a breach of the free exercise of religion. That's what Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon.
We can just start abusing this, though, and say that it's a tenet of whatever faith I make up to do all kinds of horrible things and not report all kinds of horrible things.
We've seen that tried. It usually doesn't work. Especially with the Supreme Court, it wouldn't work. We all know that in the United States, when it says religious freedom, it really means Christian freedom.
Yeah, it does, but it's still one of those things where to keep it consistent, to keep that law consistent with how it should be applied, then it should apply to every religion. The fact that judges get to pretend that it doesn't, I'm less interested in, but it is interesting that they pretend that way.
Yeah. Now, to be clear, this article did come from Newsweek. Newsweek is a little bit of a right-wing organization. So if you want to see how it's being handled on the left, head to ground.news/ fuck off.
But you could have done that. You could have done that one right there. And then you'd have that sweet, sweet ground news.
No, they don't want to sponsor the watering hole, even though this would actually be the more appropriate sponsorship for them. So the Governor Bob Ferguson signed SB 5375 into law, which will, on July 27th, make it a legal requirement for Catholic priests to report any suspected child abuse or neglect that they hear about during confession to the relevant authorities. Archbishop Paul Etienne of Seattle said, while we remain committed to protecting minors and all vulnerable people from abuse, priests cannot comply with this law if the knowledge of abuse is obtained during the sacrament of reconciliation. Counterpoint, if your organization forbids people from actually protecting minors and vulnerable people from abuse, then you are not actually committed to protecting minors and vulnerable people from abuse.
You'd rather pay lip service to it than actually do it.
Yeah. And it's the sacrament of reconciliation, they're calling it. Well, reconciliation would generally involve the person that you wronged being reconciled with you. So this, again, points out that it's just saying you're sorry to an invisible sky daddy instead of actually reconciling with the people that you actually wronged. And yes, sometimes if you apologize to your abuse victim and turn yourself into police, you will go to jail. I'm okay with that. And if you are truly repentant, you should be too. And if you're not truly repentant, then Catholic forgiveness should not actually do anything. You should not be able to earn God's forgiveness and get your way into heaven if you are not repentant enough to be willing to serve out your sentence on earth. And the Archdiocese of Seattle commented, saying, all Catholics must know and be assured of that their confessions remain sacred, secure, and confidential, and protected by the law of the Church. No, the fuck they shouldn't. Because if you are confessing to crimes, and you are not willing to turn yourself into police, then you are not actually repentant, so the confession should be null and void anyway.
I do want to give a little pushback on that. And it's not that I don't agree with the spirit of the statement, but I feel like you kind of make a bit of a just world fallacy there. Because you assume we have a justice system that will actually function properly when turning yourself in.
Yeah, no, more than likely they'll just get a slap on the wrist. And turns out that, they're such a good Christian person turning themselves in after confessing, showing that they truly have remorse. So, yeah, you get house arrest for 3 months, then probation for 6 after that. Yeah, no, that would...
Or alternatively, depending on what crime is, what crime they attest to, they might get hit with an even greater sentence than what they deserve, depending on what it is. Obviously, here we're talking about children, and that is gonna have a very big sentence and probably just end up with you being in a corpse. Like, we know what happens to people who are pedophiles, and the fact that they are pedophiles is known when you're in the prison system. But the whole, like, the correct thing to do is to turn yourself into police. I want to agree with that, but I feel like I can only agree with that in a world where we have different police.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from, but I feel like the Catholic Church would be should be able to be on board with what I've been saying, even if in reality it wouldn't play out in a way that we would necessarily like.
That's fair. That's fair. And I guess it's also from, like,
just from a PR perspective, it would be such an easy thing for the Catholic Church to be like, hey, yeah, no, we actually mean the forgiveness thing. And in order to get forgiven, you have to be willing to pay the price for the crime that you have committed. Now, I get that their whole thing is that, like, oh, well, the price for all your crimes is hell, and Jesus forgives you, so it's fine. Don't worry about it. But, like, I feel like that is something that they could get on board with, especially given their history of actually, like, torturing people to death for crimes. So, like, I don't know. They don't have a leg to stand on here. So the person who one of the sponsors of the bill, who was herself a victim of sexual abuse when she was younger, when she learned that clergy were not already mandatory reporters in Washington, this was in response to an investigation into alleged abuse within the Jehovah's Witness community in Washington state. Funny how that came up again. Last one was in Pennsylvania. It turns out, seems like this is one of those things where every time you look into this particular organization, you find sex abuse crimes. So, like, maybe that organization should not be considered a charitable organization. And in response to the Archbishop comments, she said, we, the state of Washington, have secular legislative purpose that is to protect children from abuse and neglect, and if faith communities choose through their rules not to protect children from abuse and neglect, we, the state, are choosing not to be complicit in that choice by their rules. That is the correct stance.
It's one of those things where you get to say, as an atheist, secularism or pluralism, whichever one you want to go with, is going to end up yielding better results for legislation than trying to go with just strictly the Christian argument.
Yeah. And apparently the Trump administration is looking into this situation. I don't know why. This is supposed to be one of those things that is, you know, states' rights and all that. This is a Washington state law. What does the Trump administration have to do with that?
Mm-hmm.
So this is federal, this is executive overreach, the thing that Republicans have supposedly been against.
I think it's a good idea to never be indignant or appalled when Republicans end up being hypocritical. It's just better to smear their faces in it.
Yeah, no, I'm not indignant or appalled. I just would like to point it out that...
Oh, no, I understand. So
if we just let it slide, then...
They're just going to keep doing it. No, so, have you ever seen the channel, The Soy Pill?
No.
So, he's a bodybuilder who used to be a right-wing guy and then moved over to the left wing after, you know, realizing that people here are less stupid. And he makes it a point to make a lot of content about how to talk to right-wingers and how to get people who were in that world on your side. And one of the reason that I even mentioned that is I recently watched a video from him that made a really good point, and he even had a conversation with a right-winger at the dude's house to kind of illustrate this. Doing the whole, aren't you supposed to be this? Doesn't that make you a hypocrite? It's a thing that has been said so often now that most people on the right wing just tune it out, and it ceases being an effective mechanism for moving people further left.
Yeah. I mean, it's still important to call it out, though.
It's important to call it out, but what he pointed out is that there's there's two scenarios. Scenario A, you're talking with an individual person. Calling this out in that way doesn't do a lot for that individual person. But on the flip side, if you're a person who has an audience and your job is to put on a show, at that point, playing into your audience's expectation will end up working better. So like what we're doing here on the channel is the latter. So it makes perfect sense to call it out here in that way, because there's not a person to like backfire on you when you're doing that. There's not a person like that to consider. They're in the comment section. They're going to get mad no matter what you say. So who cares about them?
Yeah. So Jas is saying that Trump will attack this as a First Amendment question. So yeah, and I know that this is not at all how they are going to see it. But I feel like it's fairly clear that when the First Amendment says that the shall make no law regarding the establishment of religion, having a law exempting religions from things is actually a violation of that, because it's saying, oh, you know, if this law applies equally to everyone. Oh, except for religion. We're going to approve certain religions and certain religious positions to be able to violate this law. So I feel like that's actually the violation, but I absolutely know that you'll never hear anyone on the right suggest that. Adam Conover was on Timcast. Am I going to have to watch an episode of Timcast? I don't want to watch that asshole. He's just painfully dumb.
He is painfully dumb.
He's not even... It's not even in a funny way. He's just dumb.
Did you watch his debate with Sam Cedar ages ago?
No. I barely watch anything that he's in because he's just so painfully dumb.
So with the Sam Cedar debate, I remember a moment where freaking Tim is just going, okay, but Sam, don't you understand that utilitarianism is often used for the villain in most movies? And Sam's just like,
I think I've seen this clip.
I don't care. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I think I've seen that clip. But also, like, utilitarianism is the one that actually like works the best. Like,
because it has say it with now.
In the practical world that we live in.
It's because it has, and say it with me now, utility. It's in the name.
Yeah. Well, what about the utility monster? Well, the utility monster doesn't fucking exist, so who cares?
The utility monster?
Have you not heard that?
No, I haven't.
The objection to utilitarianism is that, like, well, because the idea is that you maximize well-being and minimize harm. So what if a being existed who derived so much pleasure from the harming of others that the actual moral math calculation thing would mean that we have to feed everybody to the utility monster?
Oh, see,
because that maximizes.
That sounds like one of the most stupid responses you could give to utilitarianism. Because
the philosophers are not going to like you for saying that.
I don't give a shit about the philosophers. They're fucking morons. They spend more time thinking about what to do instead of actually doing things. So here's my response to the quote utility monster. No one individual can ever derive enough pleasure to justify the suffering of millions, billions, whatever number you want to put in there. No one individual gets enough out of that for that equation. All of the numbers are made up in any way, shape, and form that you put them anyway, so I can just make up my own numbers and put those ones here.
So I am sending you a link to my video where I actually... and while I was writing the script for that one, I just kind of stumbled into the concept of like, oh, wait a minute. In my description of the utility monster, I just described the God of the Bible. Like, that is why morality has to, like utilitarianism with the utility monster actually explains why morality has to be based in God's nature, because God is the utility monster. He derives so much pleasure from making sure that people that disagree with him suffer, that's what makes hell okay. That's so Yeah. Oh, did Conover try and plug his crypto scam? Is Conover doing crypto shit?
Wait, what? I haven't heard him say anything about crypto, and
I feel like he would
a lot
be
of his shit.
a monster that gets infinite pleasure from harming others. You mean capitalism? Yes, indeed.
Adam did a sponsored video for WorldCoin, both a crypto and high-tech company, and his demographic is very anti-crypto, anti-high-tech. It's received significant backlash.
Taking a sponsorship does not mean that he has a crypto scam. Those are two different things. But anyways, Forrest Wren says, compassionate utilitarianism is my favorite moral code. Okay, to the best of my knowledge, I coined the term compassionate utilitarianism. So I'm going to assume that you got that from me, so thank you. Now, in reality, I'm an idiot, so the idea that I'm the first person to put those two words together is very unlikely. But in my brain, I am the first person to do that.
Just claim you're the first person and then say that you're the best person who did it.
I don't have the arrogance for that.
And then say that everybody around you says that it's amazing that you were the first and the best person to do it, and your numbers are better than everybody else on this, and it's so astounding. And you're not the one saying this, though. You got to remember, it's other people who are saying this. You're just the messenger.
People say I'm the greatest because I coined compassionate utilitarianism. I don't know. It's funny. This is one of those things that I feel like you know what? I'm gonna Google it right now. Not where you can see it. Compassionate utilitarianism. Compassionate utilitarianism on Cambridge.org. I'm a little bit disappointed that there isn't a like top result wasn't a Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy entry. But yeah, no, I'm not the first person to come up with that. Let's see what I saw. Oh, okay. I misread this. There's a website, philosophos.org. I misread it as philossobros.org. I was like, what? Philossobros? Jeremy Bentham. So apparently Fennec knows Jeremy Bentham. I saw his name while I was scrolling here, so... Oh yeah, the Cambridge one, the first thing is Compassionate Utilitarianism, the Unknown Bentham Revealed. Oh, he advocated for the Anatomy Act, which allowed people to donate their bodies to science. Because compassionate utilitarianism. Okay. There we go. See, like I said, I'm not a genius.
You just happen to share a mind with other people who might be.
His head is on display in a UK university. Okay. I'm going to be in the UK in July. What university? I'm going to have... Okay. God damn it. You're getting me off track. Jeremy Bentham, Head, UK University. That's a note for me to read later. Okay. Moving on.
Head. Bentham gives head.
This isn't a VR stream without tangents. Indeed. Next news item. What's the deal with the GOP's bizarre new anti-porn bill?
And what's the deal with...
Well, I mean, realistically, the deal is it's the same as the last two times this guy tried to introduce it, so it's not new. The second verse, same as the first.
It's not new, however, it kind of is. Hold on, I do have to give a little pushback on that one, only because I read Project 2025. So, I'm sorry.
I mean, the article that I have pulled up uses the word Christo-fascist, so... I mean, you're not wrong.
So it is a little bit different this time around because it is working in tandem with an idea that things like trans people existing out in public counts as pornography or a form of pornographic expression. And this is something that is detailed in the first 200 pages. I say first 200 because I can't remember where in the first 200 it is. I'm sorry. But it's detailed in the first 200 pages of Project 2025. And I did end up going over this part on stream, so I do remember this one very, 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 very blatantly. Any porn ban right now comes part and parcel with an attempt to take trans people out of public life as of right now.
This article doesn't get into that, but I am sure that that is correct. But yeah, so this is the Interstate Obscenity Definition Act, which would make the possession of all media related to the prurient interest in nudity, sex, or excretion a criminal act, which, with that definition, that is such a broad definition that I am aware of Christian movies that would run afoul of that and be considered
Also,
pornographic.
There's a bill in Texas that does this specifically with anime, and it's the goal is obviously to try to ban hentai, but the problem is that there is so much anime, shonen specifically, that features characters who act like adults and work like adults, but just happen to be 15 because that's the age demographic that it is sold to. And they get themselves in risque situations all the time. Dragon Ball Z, there's moments where Roshi literally asks Bulma to flip up her skirt so he will do something for Goku. In Naruto, there's always the scenes where Naruto is literally changing into a woman who is naked as one of his attacks. Sailor Moon, the transformation sequences. These all happen to be characters who, at the time of these events, are teenagers because that's what the story sells to. And these are 100% inappropriate acts that have happened. They are not pornographic, but they are certainly something that is technically outlawed by that Texas bill.
Yep. Yeah, no, but so back to the Christian movie idea. I've seen Christian movies where very clearly, like it's very obviously a Christian movie. They're doing a Christian message. Then it's actually like a genuine, like it's not people poking fun at it. It's genuine. These are the things I believe. But very clearly, the director or writer or whoever was in charge of, like, it's usually small budget productions that this happens in. But like, there's a cute girl that they know. They're like, oh, this is my chance to get her in a crop top and make sure that the camera pans that very slowly a lot. Hell, there's one that God Awful Movies did not too long ago that it's absolutely insane. But it actually, like, you actually see naked boobs and there is a sex scene. And Colin Mockery is a bad guy called the Hat. Speaking of, thank you, Jassa.
Okay.
New hat time. You know who Colin Mockery is, right? Please tell me you know.
Don't.
You don't know who Colin Mockery is?
No.
You know whose line is it anyway?
I mean, I know that it exists.
Okay, well, from back in the Drew Carey days, Colin Mockery was the Canadian, the bald Canadian that they had, and he's just like a delightful person and a nice guy, and they cast him as the bad guy, and he just does not do it, and it's hilarious.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about.
So Jassa says, I almost had a chance to see him live, but tickets were like $200. I'll do you one better. I almost had a chance to talk to him, but I was off the day that he came into the restaurant. But apparently he is a delightful person. Everybody loved him. I was there when Jesse Eisenberg was there. And Jesse Eisenberg also seemed like a nice guy. But he was much more, just leave me alone to eat my dinner. But like not in a rude way, just in a, like, he's not engaging everybody in conversation. He's just there for dinner. Whereas apparently Colin was like actually chatting with people and having a good time or whatever. So, yeah. Anyway. So that would be porn. A Colin Mockery movie would be porn under this under this bill. Let's see. This is Utah Senator Mike Lee's thing, and I like this. They say the man has never met a perfidious conspiracy theory that he hasn't immediately fallen in love with, to the point that he's floated the idea that deep cover federal agents orchestrated January 6th insurrection.
Of course.
Which, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, but like, you know who's in charge of the FBI now, right? Like, there would be records of this if the FBI did that. So like, and there's zero chance that Kash Patel would hide those records if he found them.
Speaking
So,
of just a small tangent, speaking of people who are in weird positions of power now, you see that a dude who like got famous being anti-COVID vaccine on a bunch of podcasts and shit is now like head of whether or not COVID vaccines get to be distributed to people at all, and has subsequently said that COVID vaccines will not be available to anybody under 65.
no, I hadn't seen that.
Yep.
Is that... Oh, what's the person's name? Just a second. It's okay. Joe Rogan goes on his phone on the show all the time. So this is what I need to do to be popular, is just ignore what's going on here and just be on my phone. Because I'm looking for a thing. I'm looking for a thing. Joe Rogan does it.
Looking for a thing.
Joe Rogan. Hey, Jamie, find the thing that I...
Dr. Vinay Prasad.
Okay.
Is the person who's in charge of that now. He's the new director of the FDA's Center for Biological Evaluation and Research. He was a very vocal proponent of RFK Jr.'s ideas on medicine and health before getting his position.
So, Surgeon General. Yeah, that's what she's... Casey Means has been nominated to be the Surgeon General. Casey Means is... She graduated from medical school, but she never finished her residency, so she's not technically a doctor. She has the MD, but isn't technically a doctor. She has been very much anti-vaccine. She has also been anti-birth control. And she was on the Joe Rogan Experience like a week before Trump was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's going to be the Surgeon General.
I hate it here.
And yeah, I forget what I was going to say about her, but yeah, it sucks. Anyway. So, Lee's bill classifies the prurient interest in nudity, sex, or excretion as a criminal offense, but what is interest here? How will the cops or feds know when you are interested in, say, a really nice pair of nude shoulders? Your guess is as good as mine. So this brings it back to the Christian movie thing. Doesn't even have to be one of the rare Christian movies that show boobies. It could just be one where a woman is in a strapless dress for a second.
I hate it here.
And like, actually, to bring up Sinners again, I remember I don't remember if I told you this on air, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But one of the reviews that kind of made me giggle about it was someone complained that the sex scenes weren't all that sexy, and it's like, yeah, they weren't. It actually looked like the director went out of his way to avoid making things overly sexy. But then one of the things that I mentioned to my partner coming out of it is like, yeah, no, the sex scenes weren't all that sexy, but like some of the dresses they had the ladies in were just like, woo boy. So I'm like, okay, that's porn now.
You got a stiffy, therefore porn.
I don't think I did. But I don't keep a log, so
you don't keep a log of when you get a stiffy?
Yeah.
I don't know when I'm standing at attention, but I might have been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, I guess Sinners is porn now because I really liked some of those dresses.
Yep.
But yeah, no, we don't need to get into that whole thing. So that's that one. One more story before the tweets. So
Larry says plants can be voluptuous. I know they can. I've played Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh my god, my partner is in a plant phase right now. Fuck, we're pornographic right now. I got my head up a flower's genitals. right now. But yeah, no, my partner is into propagating plants right now, and she talks to them all. She talks about them all as though they have personalities and they all have names, and so she's into the plants right now.
This is my sex box, and her
Betty,
name is Sony.
Betty seems to be the favorite. Betty is one of the easiest ones to propagate. Rose keeps having babies as well. Yeah. Does that mean that bare feet is now defined as porn? Yeah, because there are a lot of people that really like bare feet.
And they also usually are Catholic.
Well, there's the thing. There are people that are really, really into nuns. So, like,
yeah,
you can't walk around in the habit anymore because that's pornographic. Because some people are really into that.
See, just not the nun thing doesn't do it for me. But like,
I understand why people are into it. It's one of those like turning the thing that hurt me on its head, and now it's the like. Yeah, I understand that. But yeah, no, nuns aren't really my thing either.
No. For me, it's paladin women. You get a girl in full plate mail, and now not
the titty armor.
No, just give me full plate mail.
Cirrus is really into Joan of Arc. Oh, where's that fan art? Staff?
Flying Man says, "Sir, if you could, please explain what this live is about." Yeah, we're going over news items right now. We're making fun of right-wingers because they're cringe. And right now we're talking about which fictional women make us horny, or which non-fictional women make us horny.
Because I'm delaying having to talk about the people being sent to El Salvadorian torture prisons.
Yep.
Because that's not a fun topic, but it's on the screen, so I'm going to have to address it at some point.
Jassa says, but the Wanderer isn't a paladin. She's a fighter. Yes, but you forget she has white hair. So she's definitely got one of my fantasy tropes down.
Ariel as a mermaid is naked below the chest. You're not wrong.
Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, 50 Venezuelans imprisoned in El Salvador came to the United States legally and never violated any immigration laws. So we don't need to get into all the details here. We've all heard that, like, of the 240 that were sent there, at least 75% of them had no criminal record whatsoever. But when they were disappeared, their families were not informed. They were not informed. That's a blatant violation of habeas corpus, which we learned recently. Christy Nome does not understand what it is. Yeah. That's when the government explains why you're being detained. And they didn't do that for these people, so that's a blatant violation of that right.
Don't you know habeas corpus is the right for the president to remove anybody out of the country that he deems...
I would be willing to bet that most Americans' exposure to the words habeas corpus before Trump started violating it was when they announced that habeas corpus is being suspended at the beginning of one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Because... That's the scene that I think of every time I hear it, is right before they hang the child. The guy is like, the right to habeas corpus is suspended. But yeah, that's what habeas corpus is. And it's very important. So these guys, now this is the Cato Institute. Are you familiar with the Cato Institute?
I know the name.
Yeah, so I ran into that as well. I went through this whole thing, and I was getting the initially I went to The Hill and saw their story on this, and it's like, okay, well, you know what, they have a link to the Cato Institute. I'm just going to click on that and get it straight from the source, because Cato's the one that did this investigation. And I recognize them, so I'm like, okay, well, I recognize them, so maybe they're a legitimate source or whatever, so I look into it. It turns out the Cato Institute is a right-wing libertarian think tank.
Oh.
So, and this is a very sympathetic piece towards these people. They, like, I'm not getting into the whole thing, but they have a whole list of, like, these people with no criminal record, like, their full names, what information we have on them. It gives, like, it goes into like stories of what they're doing, like what their jobs were in the United States. I'm like, it's very unusual for me to see something calling for empathy among immigrants coming from a right-wing libertarian think tank. Like, if you're losing these guys, you're doing something wrong as a Republican. But yeah, so of the people that they could figure out how they crossed the border, 50 of them crossed legally. So some of them had temporary visas and they hadn't overstayed their visa. Like, remember, these are people that have not committed crimes. So they're in the States on a visa. There were people who made appointments through the app that they're supposed to use. Several of them had their court date and they were told, like, okay, well, this isn't the final thing. So now you're released into the United States. You're allowed to live and work here for 2 years, and then we'll redo the court thing at that point. That's part of the U.S. refugee program. So it's like they were in the country legally. They didn't break any laws. They didn't enter illegally. But the government was just like, nope, you're gone. You have disappeared. You are now in an El Salvadorian torture prison. So like these were people that were vetted by the government. So the government vetted them and concluded that they would face persecution in their home country. So you're allowed to come here. Of the people that did come here legally, so 24 of them were paroled into the country after their CBP-1 appointment. 21 of them had an appointment scheduled. 4 of them were refugees, and 1 of them was on a tourist visa.
Okay.
So, like, they snatched a tourist and sent them to a torture prison.
Don't you love the United States of America?
Yeah. And then they mentioned, like, a lot of these people are, like, here we go. These men were workers, construction laborers, pipe installers, cooks, delivery drivers, a soccer coach, a makeup artist, a mechanic, a veterinarian, a musician, and an entrepreneur. Most of those who were released quickly found jobs in the United States. So, like, we're not talking about the people that... Okay, well, I guess it's Schrodinger's immigrant. They're here to take all your jobs, but they're also lazy and sucking up all the welfare money. So these are the ones that take all your jobs. But yeah. So yeah, United States is being a fascist dictatorship almost. Like fascist, not almost. Dictatorship is the almost. There are still, in theory, some checks and balances. But yeah, I don't feel like we need to spend any more time on that. So let's go to something a bit more lighthearted. We're starting with Answers in Genesis again.
Oh boy, I love AIG.
Oh, god damn it. I keep forgetting that it forgets which window to show. The Bible does not claim that the earth is flat. Apropos of nothing, here's a screenshot of Bible verses under the headline, "The earth is flat."
Jesus Christ.
So, like, yeah, no, the Bible never explicitly says the earth is flat, but it does say that it's on pillars or on foundations, and it calls it the circle of the earth, when the Hebrews definitely had a word for sphere. And it talks about seeing things to the ends of the earth, and it brings Jesus up high enough that he can see all the kingdoms on the earth at one time, which would not be possible on a globe earth. So, yeah, Bible doesn't explicitly say the earth is flat, but it comes a lot closer to that than it does saying it's round.
But remember, you can't take it literally, but it literally didn't say it, so... You can't take it literally, but you can take it literally, but you can't take it literally. It's
Schrodinger's literally. Okay, but yeah, so that's fun. Okay, I don't understand how this is still a thing on the right. How is this even a talking point? Like I say, how does a country that looks like this, with the map, the electoral map of the United States being all red, end up with the Congress that looks like this, with it being roughly half and half? Unless they are stealing elections. It's like, because most of the red space is empty.
It's because land doesn't vote, you frickin' Nimrods.
Yeah, like overlay that on a map of the United States cities, and you'll find that where most of the people are is where most of the blue is.
Are you saying you want to go where the people are?
No, I'm saying nobody knows what it's like behind blue eyes. I don't know. That didn't really fit, but it's a good song. And I am aware that I skipped a line, but I didn't want to force you all to listen to me sing that. And also, like, Cat Turd, one of the intellectual elites of the right wing somehow,
he's such a juggernaut.
Retweeting this guy asking this question. So I'm like, how? Livia Williams has been a member for 11 months now. Says 1/5 of watchers liked. Shame. Just need to play that clip of Cersei going through the city. Shame. 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 Ding ding. But yeah, no, like, who would you say are the, like, intellectual heavy hitters on the left?
On the left?
Like Sam Cedar?
I'd say we definitely have Sam Cedar. If we're talking, like, everywhere, you've got ContraPoints and Philosophy Tube. They're definitely up there. On the streamer side, your most popular ones are going to be, and this is including liberals, Vosh, Destiny, and Hassan. Trying to think of who else would, like, fit there.
Jas is saying Cody. On the grand scheme of things, Cody's actually a little bit small. I don't think they even have 1 million subscribers yet. If that's Cody Johnson. News dude, Cody.
Yeah, as in Cody from Some More News.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else.
Midas Touch?
Midas Touch, FD Signifier's up there. Hell, I actually see FD Signifier mentioned in non-political videos. So yeah, FD's up there too.
Okay. Well, the reason I bring this up is because I couldn't think of anyone on the left who is highly respected and seen as, like, one of the more popular voices on the left who has a name as ridiculous as Cat Turd. Like, can you imagine? Like, and I recognize that I am someone who goes by Viced Rhino. Mm-hmm. I have a name that when other people introduce me on their shows when I am a guest, they always say it with a tone that is like, why the fuck are you making me say these words together? That doesn't make any sense. Every time. Like, I'm on God Awful Movies episode 410. Listen to that one. Hear how Noah says Viced Rhino when he introduces me. Same thing with when I did the live stream with the Creator Accountability Network. Listen in and listen to how they introduce me. They can never say my name without it sounding awkward. Because it's a stupid name. I would never consider myself to be one of the bigwigs on the left.
But see, the only difference between... I will say this, though. The only difference between you or I and any of the, quote, intellectual heavy hitters is numbers.
Yeah.
I'm only saying that not because I'm that confident in my own abilities. I'm not. But I'm saying that from a logistical perspective, the only real difference is numbers.
Yeah.
At that point.
But also, like, even me, if I were to get up there in the numbers, Viced Rhino is not literal shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I just, and I get that that's kind of the point, that they're like, oh, we got you so distracted with my name that you're not addressing the things that I'm saying. But, like, the things that you're saying are this. You're clearly a fucking idiot. Bravo Needs Bacon says, is there room in your country for me? I'll work, pay taxes, and take up a little space, I promise. I don't know what the procedure is for immigrating to Canada. I know it's possible. We got lots of physical room. Oh yeah, that's right. We covered this a couple weeks ago. Cat Turd spends 15 hours a day on Twitter. Yeah, so his brain is turned into a cat turd. There we go.
His brain is moosh.
Darwin to Jesus says, the problem of suffering is literally just one enormous appeal to emotion. Counterpoint, the moral argument is just an appeal to emotion. The problem of suffering is just an observation that is the result of what Christians claim, well, in specific to Christianity, what Christians claim their God is. So it's like, we see suffering around. As an atheist, it's just like, yeah, of course there's suffering. There's nobody looking out for us in the universe, so sometimes bad shit happens. But Christianity says, hey, there's an all-powerful being looking out for us. And also bad shit happens. So that's the problem of suffering. Whereas the moral argument is, I don't like that suffering exists, so I am going to believe that there is an all-powerful being looking out for us.
Yeah. So when I say the statement, how dare you do that to a child? Is that a fallacious statement? According to Darwin to Jesus,
No,
it is.
I wouldn't say that it's... Like, if you say, how dare the Catholic Church do this to children, therefore there is no God, I could see that being an emotional appeal. However, that is still based in the fact that, like, hey, you say that there is a loving God that exists, that is all-powerful, and yet you guys do this to children. So, like, yes, I am emotional about that, but also divorced from emotion. That is a thing that should not happen if the thing that you say exists actually existed.
Yep, because the problem of suffering is not an argument against the existence of God. It's not. It's an argument against the fact that God is all good.
Mm-hmm.
Which is technically an argument against the Christian God.
Well, the modern Christian God.
Yeah, it's an argument against the modern Christian God. But it's not fallacious if you don't have an all-good, all-knowing, all-powerful God. Because if you have a God that isn't those things, then you're fine. Like, we're not arguing against that God at that point.
Yeah. The problem of suffering is really easy for Christians to escape from. They're just not willing to sacrifice the attributes of God that they believe in, despite the fact that the Bible explicitly says that God is not benevolent. It explicitly says that God created evil. And even if you want to somehow wave that away with an appeal to translational errors or whatever, as if the all-powerful creator of the universe can't have his book translated properly, which is kind of weird to me. Even if you want to get rid of that, you still believe that he created Satan, which is the most powerful evil being in existence. Oh no, he didn't create Satan, he created Lucifer, and then Lucifer uses free will and did the thing that caused him to fall. It's like, okay, he knew that he would do that when he created him, right? Yeah. Like, okay, so he could have not created him, right? It really is that simple. If he knows everything, he can not create the guy that's going to cause everything to go to shit.
I remember having this argument where a Christian was trying to, this is years ago, where a Christian was trying to convince me that this argument was a bad argument. I said, free will cannot exist in a world that has an all-knowing God. Because he knows that you're going to do a jumping jack at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. If he knows you're going to do a jumping jack at 10 a.m. on Tuesday,
then you don't have the choice to not do it.
Yeah. Can your free will override that? Do you have free will, or do you have an illusion of free will? And the person tried to, like, do this whole, are you aware of this one, like, temporal time space outside of time argument? I'm like, no, and I don't care. That is my answer to that. No, and I don't care, and I don't have to care.
Yeah. Oh, Eric. Eric's... This is...
Hello!
This is a bit idiotic, even for Eric. Like, I don't have high expectations from him, but, like, to all atheist, a digital camera, 15 pixel, has a creator. The eye, 574 pixels, came by accident. First off, I assume that's supposed to be megapixels.
It has to be, because there's no 15 pixel camera.
No, I mean, the first digital camera was like 0.01 megapixel, so that's mega is, I think, 1,000, so that would be about 10 pixels. But that's, like, we're talking 1960 something. But also, I brought research for this one.
Oh boy.
So, if we go back here for a second, the biggest digital camera ever made is 3,200 megapixels. That's 3.2 gigapixels. Quite a bit more than the than the 574 megapixels being claimed here. But also, and that's at the LSST telescope. It's the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope, LSST. It is not operational yet, but the camera is built. This is not hypothetical. They're building it in the future. The camera is built. It's just not operational as a telescope yet. But then when you look into what is the resolution of the human eye, we don't see in pixels. So it's not exactly a one-to-one comparison, but through a bunch of math, it's been roughly estimated that our vision is about 576 megapixels.
Also, our vision does something that is... This is going to sound horrible because of how much I hate the technology, but our vision does something very akin to AI interpolation.
Yeah, very much.
Because there are several things that you think you can see that your brain has literally just
made up out of a whole cloth.
Yeah, it's drawn there. It's
see,
the reason why you can see through
color?
Your nose.
You see color in the peripherals? No, you don't. Your brain's making it up. It's guessing what the color is based on context clues.
Yep. It's the reason why if you have a paint, like if you've seen a dot painting, it's the reason why you can even perceive a picture in a dot painting. There is no actual picture.
The reason why you see stuff in the clouds is because, and especially like think to the experience you have of looking at a cloud and not seeing anything in particular, but then someone else says, "Hey, doesn't that cloud look like X?" And then you look back at that same cloud, and that cloud that didn't look like anything in particular a second ago suddenly looks exactly like what that person said it looked like. That is your brain actively working to make the cloud look more like the thing that you have now decided that it is. Your brain does that. When you think that something is a thing, it makes it look more like that thing. That is why when you see something out of the corner of your eyes and you thought it was like a child, like you're in a house with a bunch of children, you see something out of the corner of your eyes, you could have sworn that was a kid that just ran by, but it was just like the dog or something. That's because your brain, from context clues, it knows there's a bunch of kids around, and what is most likely to like run past in your periphery? Probably a child. Yeah, there's a dog too, but statistically more likely to be a child. At least in my house, we've got 5 of them and only one dog. So it makes it look more like a child. So your brain just makes shit up. So you're like, a lot of what you're seeing that's actually a really good analogy. The AI, not made up nonsense stuff. But then also like the 576 megapixels, that's when your eyes are moving. So it's like if you're scanning a page and reading it. But when you just focus on one thing, if the area that you're capable of seeing in focus is if you hold your arm out, your thumb out to arm's length, your thumbnail is all that you can see in focus at any given time. And also, you'll notice I'm wearing a thing on my face. That's when I do this, my thumbnail's not in focus. It's a bit blurry because I have astigmatism. Mostly in my left eye. My right eye is better than my left, but so I see less than that because I can't resolve it at its like without external assistance. We have the blind spot where the retina attaches. You have, like you mentioned earlier, your nose. You can see through your nose. It's just wild how inaccurate our eyes are. So like, no, the camera comparison is garbage, and not just because the megapixel count is
because that's not how our eyes work at all, even in the slightest.
But also, like, this assumes that more megapixels equals more better, which it doesn't. I have had cameras that have had very high megapixel counts that take shit pictures. Because there is more to image quality than just how many pixels are there. It's like, what is the dynamic range of each pixel? I don't know. But like, cameras are designed and they do much better than our eyes. Nope. I was the wrong button.
Less wronger is more better.
Less wrong is more betterer.
I was going to say less wronger is more gooderer.
Sure.
More good.
Sure. Also, we don't have the best eyes in the animal kingdom. I don't know that it would go to octopuses, but octopuses probably do have better eyes than us. For one, they're not wired backwards, so they don't have the blind spot problem, so their brains don't have to make up as much shit.
Yeah. That is weird. Like when you look at our eyes being wired backwards, or you look at giraffes, what is it? There's a nerve that they have that has to like loop around the entire length of their neck.
We have the same nerve too. It's just that their necks are so much longer than ours that it's much more ridiculous. It's the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Because evolutionarily, that nerve just needs to go from here to here. And when we were, like, back in our evolutionary history when we were fish, and the gills were here, it was fine to go through one of those gill slits to get there. But then as we evolved away from being fish, and the gill slit part of the embryo turned into other things, one of the things it turned into was the aortic arch. And because evolution can't undo what was previously done, that little tiny nerve that just needed to go this far was now caught under the aortic arch, which moved slowly down over evolutionary time to the chest. So now instead of just going bloop, it goes roop. And in us, that's ridiculous. But in a giraffe, it's extremely ridiculous. And Apatosaurus had it too. Or all of the long-necked dinosaurs had it as well. So that's even more ridiculous. So yeah, that's a fun one. But it's just like this specific example, yeah, I could see Eric using that, but like using a friggin' meme that is not only like clearly outdated based on what human technology is now, but like also just completely full of typos and misprints. It's like to all atheist singular. This has a creator. This came by accident. What do you mean came by? Like, no, come on. You can word it better than that. Like, this is not a complicated meme. Eric could probably do it better himself.
This is the kind of thing that is made by either a Facebook boomer or more likely a kid who wants his pastor to just like give him a pat on the back because he is very sad that his dad isn't doing the same.
Yeah. Yep. Joel Webben says, Christians must recover the lost virtue of hatred. If not, Christianity will survive, but the West will be finished.
Oh, God fucking damn it.
Is this the same guy that talked about the sin of empathy a while ago?
I don't remember, but like the virtue of hatred? No. No, yeah. Hatred is considered a vice in almost every philosophical sense.
Now, before anyone accuses this guy of just not being a real Christian or whatever, he runs the Right Response Ministries Christian ministry, which offers podcasts, sermons, and articles on various topics such as biblical giants, Talmudic Judaism, and gynocracy.
Gynocracy? What is that?
Oh, that's the fact that women are ruling the world. It's not the patriarchy, it's the gynocracy.
Is this like some extended version of Behind Every Great Man Is?
No, I think this is the DEI has gone too far. Women are being hired just because they're women, and now they run everything, and women have more. This is the MRA MGTOW talking points. Cyrus, you sound like...
What do I sound like?
Oh, I put the poop up again. Were you not looking?
No, I wasn't.
You sounded like you were pooping.
Oh, no, I sound like a Dragon Ball Z character. Who also sound like they're pooping when they're powering up.
Yeah. June Slater says, these trans women... Do they ever do things like women actually do? Run a home, cook, put the washer on, get the kids to school, visit relatives in care homes, budget the bills, clean the house, chauffeur the kids about? You know, the reality of being a woman.
Wait, that's the reality of being a woman?
Yeah, I guess I'm a woman now, because I've done all of this stuff in the last week, except for visit people in relatives in care homes, but only because I don't have any of those right now. Like,
I mean... I guess technically I guess technically, if we're going by the logic of things that Stoff has created, you can be a woman.
I mean,
Because there's the Rhino avatar.
even without stuff created, I have done all this stuff that this person says makes someone a real woman. That's the reality of being a woman.
That makes you a fake man.
So I'm like, you know what my day looked like today? So when I woke up, what I thought my day looked like was I work normally, like I normally do, but then my kid's got a track and field thing at 3:00, so I have to go there. As I'm waking up, I'm asking my partner, what time do you need to be up? Because she has not been feeling well. She's been having really bad sleep, so I've been getting up and helping the kids get ready for school so that she can get a little bit of extra sleep. What I heard was, you're taking the kids to school today. So I'm like, okay. So now my day has changed a little bit. I now have to get the kids ready to school and drive them to school. That's fine. Get them ready, do all that stuff. As I'm doing that, I get an email. Oh, track and field thing has been postponed to Friday because of rain. Like, great. Okay, that's one less thing to do. Great. Now me taking the kids to school takes less time out of my work day because I don't have to go to the track and field thing. Great. Fantastic. Go into the bedroom to just, get real pants on instead of my PJ pants to take the kids to school. She wakes up and is like, no, I'm taking the kids to school. I was just asking you to get them ready to go to school. And like, I have to be up for when they go to school. I'm like, okay. So now my day has changed again. It's back to normal work day. Oh shoot. One of my other kids has an appointment in a place that's like 45 minutes away at 10:30, and their school is like a half an hour away. So I have to go pick them up from that. And my partner was supposed to, normally she would handle that. But she had a school thing. I was like, okay, I have to go take that. So I don't know. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but the picture of my day changed 17 times throughout the course of the day. And it was all this stuff. So I guess I'm a woman, and so is my partner. So we're lesbians now.
You am real lesbian.
Livy Williams
am real
says,
super stand.
Livy Williams says, sure bet when the Bible was written that women were chauffeurs. No, they were just baby factories then.
I need her to sire my child.
I always did find it interesting that you were allowed to have multiple wives in the Old Testament, and there was never any there were never any prohibitions against female homosexuality in the Old Testament. It's not until the New Testament, when polygamy had fallen out of favor already, that you start to see condemnations of female homosexuality show up. I always found that interesting. It's like, yeah, no, the guy with the harem wants them to be able to do other stuff too, and we can't say no to that. I don't know that that's what happened, but yeah.
I want to see them kiss. I want to see them fuck.
Which, I get it. But it's a bit hypocritical to, say that men can't do it too. Anyway, moving on. Nikki Fuentes says,
no.
Ben Shapiro's meltdown over Heil Hitler by Kanye got 8,500 downvotes. The top comments say that Shapiro is playing the victim and that the censorship of the song proves Kanye right. I can't call him Ye.
I'm never going to call him Ye.
It's just weird. And he says the red pill is winning. Now, first off, this looks like a YouTube thing, but YouTube doesn't show dislikes anymore, so I don't know how he got that.
There's a extension for it.
Yeah, there is, but it doesn't get actual dislikes. It guesses at what the dislike count will be from what the dislike count was in previous videos before things went private, based on how people would normally react to that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that's not the actual dislike count. That is that is an extension's guess at what the dislike count probably maybe is.
Are we sure about that?
Unless they've changed the API, yes. I haven't looked into it since the dislike button went away, and that was, 2 years ago? maybe more. I don't know.
Also, seeing just random fucking white couples sing that song in their car makes me kind of ill.
Oh, have you seen that?
Yes.
I haven't even heard the song. This is how I learned that the song existed.
Yep. So the depressing things to me are seeing people sing along with it and seeing people on Facebook go, I'm still listening to his music though. It's great. Like the dude's music actively is saying genocide is good. Now, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but you can support that? How?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I don't know. But so I mostly pulled this one just because, like, I don't know how Ben Shapiro sleeps at night. It's like there's
on a
no
mattress
way,
by Mattress Firm.
There is no way that he is not aware of the kind of people that he is in bed with. He has enabled stuff like this to happen. Like, he is not a small voice. He's not me with my maybe 1,000 people will watch the stream when it's done. He is one of the main talking heads on the right. And he has normalized stuff that has moved, like, very obviously was headed in an anti-Semitic direction. But then, like, every now and then when it gets explicit, he comes out and is like, no, we can't be explicitly anti-Semitic. You have to just use dog whistles again, guys. Come on. The leopards wouldn't eat my face.
You have to make it seem like I'm not going to get in trouble.
Yeah. So it's just weird that he can do what he does. I mean, it's weird to me.
It's weird because
I've said
you have
many times
morals.
before, it was so much easier to make money if you're evil. So much
Now
easier.
you just need to sell these new diet pills, multivitamin. They'll make your penis larger.
Oh my God,
your
did
wife will love you again.
Did I tell you about the pills that wanted to sponsor my channel?
No.
Oh, I actually got one of those offers, and it was like what the fuck was it called? God damn it! I thought I showed you. Oh fuck! Their website was so goddamn funny, and I forgot to talk about it. I wanted to. Whatever. I'll try to remember for next week. No promises, but I will try to remember because it is fucking hilarious. And I almost wanted to be like, I will absolutely do that ad, but only if you let me do it sarcastically. Because, like, I will completely be like, are you man enough to take 500 pills a day to enhance your masculinity? Because it was absolutely one of those supplement things where, like, only real men can handle taking all our pills. And every single fucking thing on their website had an asterisk beside it. And when you go down to the footnote, it was just every single one was, these claims have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not meant to treat, diagnose, or blah, 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 blah. Like that boilerplate that supplements get to use to be able to say, hey, you can cure your cancer with this. But we're not saying it cures cancer. But it was, like, the website was just beautiful. And I wanted to do the ad, but, like, not seriously. Okay, moving on. Watto Yo Mem. Oh no, he's got the U on you now. It used to be Watto Yo Meme instead of What Do You Meme.
Oh.
It's John. His name is John.
I don't like this guy.
He once emailed me after I did a response video to him. He was like, I'm going to do a response video to you. And then he never did.
He's like,
I mean,
okay.
To be fair, in between him sending the email and not doing a response video to me, he did have a child, like, soon after he sent the email to me, so I can completely understand if he just got sidetracked. But it still made me kind of chuckle that he warned me of an incoming response video and then never did it.
Erie the Space Kobold, thank you for resubscribing. Said, can't believe I almost missed my daily dose of people being idiots on Twitter.
Yeah. So Lily tweeted out saying, America is and should remain a white Christian country. John Helfin just redeemed the hats. I don't know why, but I know why. I muted my system sounds. That's why my notifications have not been making noise in my ears. Let's see fuck hat is this? I mean, it's appropriate for the fact that I have no idea that I had this hat. It says, I'm a multitasker. I can listen, ignore, and forget at the same time. And I have no memory of this hat, but it was at the bottom of the bin.
You have no memory of it, and yet it is here.
It is here. And then John retweeted that saying, as a conservative, I'm beyond over some of these people on the quote-unquote right, using Jesus and Christianity as a political weapon for things like this. Christians, these people are not on your side.
Hey, Rhino, guess what was just sent to me?
What?
It's the video of the white people in their car singing the new Kanye West song.
I'm not going to click on that right now.
And it's on Twitter.
Of course it is. Yeah, no, the friggin', you know how much blatant anti-Semitism and calling for genocide was in the replies to this? Like, stuff that absolutely would not have been allowed on Twitter before Elon bought it?
But it's all okay now. Anti-Semitism's back on the menu.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to be clear, it was never off the menu. It just had to, like, pretend that it was off the menu for a little while. But, yeah, no, but, like, Christians have enabled people on the right that are like this for ages. We have been sounding the alarms for this for ages, talking about how they're getting in bed with the white nationalists, and they're getting, like, in Trump's first term, if we dared call the man racist, we'd be told that we were overreacting and exaggerating, and like we're seeing things are not there, and like, oh, everybody I don't like is racist, everybody I don't like is Hitler, oh, that's what you sound like. And yeah, now the people that are supporting him are being overtly racist, and all the people that were telling us that we were overblowing it are either themselves now overtly racist, or like, I can't believe this is happening, the leopards wouldn't eat my face.
Who could have seen this coming? Everybody that warned you about it.
Yeah, Jassa says, I apologize for being one of those people. I was one of those people too, at least at the beginning. And in 2016, I was one of those people. I actually remember in 2016, I did not make it known that I listened to god-awful movies on my show, or in my videos, because I was like, oh, those guys are very clearly lefties. I don't really want to be associated with lefties.
Oh, how times have changed.
Oh, how times have changed indeed. When I first started listening to Cognitive Dissonance, because they still to this day, they probably go a little bit further to the left than I do. But like at the time when I first started listening to them, there was a lot that was like, oh, I really don't agree with this. But like most of the other stuff that they say is okay. But yeah, they also like, they're kind of like me. They go over the news and then they're like, I'm not actually like a journalist. I'm just reading the news and riffing on it. So
I remember an earlier video of yours where you had said, in my younger days, I was actually more of an out-and-out Marxist, but now I've mellowed out.
That does sound like the kind of thing that 2016 me would have said. Because I was in high school. I legitimately in high school economics, we were assigned a project of creating an economic utopia, and my utopia was called the Democratic Republic of Communist Canada. And so I had a whole project. I had a whole thing, and it was like the problem that I was trying to solve was how do you pay everybody the same amount of money, but have some people want to be doctors, and other people want to be janitors. I forget how I solved that problem because that is actually a bit of a conundrum. But yeah, no, I then went down the right wing rabbit hole. Like I've been all over the place politically.
I can't trust that you're going to stay my friend forever then. Kill me.
I mean, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll fall down the right wing rabbit hole again in the future. Probably not.
I feel like you have enough introspection now to where that's not likely going to happen.
Probably not, no. Well, I mean, at this point, I've seen so much blatant hypocrisy from the right that it's like, okay, they don't actually stand for the things that they're saying, so why should I believe them about anything? So, like, my default response now when I like the Cato Institute, when I saw that they were a libertarian think tank, I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to cover this story. Because those are the kinds of people that lie and don't actually have any sort of compunction about stuff like that. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm going to go back to the right. I don't feel like that's possible. But when I was on the right, I would have said the same thing about going left.
Well, I see what you mean here. Showcasing exactly what happens when the leopards come to eat his face as a out-and-out conservative watching the other conservatives talk about how United States should not be for him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'll bet you that if we go to his YouTube channel, he has a video defending slavery and talking about how American slavery was different from ancient Hebrew slavery.
If memory serves, he does, because I think I've done a response to that video.
If you're actually talking about Alan Parr, I'm going to call you a racist.
Like, I know I've done responses to what do you mean?
6 years ago, he's got why the Bible, in brackets, doesn't support slavery. Then, in brackets again, response to Cosmic Skeptic, part 1.
I may have done this one just
yeah,
to
he's got a whole series responding to Cosmic Skeptic. Oh my god, Alex looks so young. He's a baby.
Yeah, I remember when we were at Faithless Forum, and I forget what the question was, but I think I remember saying that like something about human superiority is a plague or something like that, and I remember him piggybacking off of it to go on a tirade about veganism. Still feel kind of weird about that.
Yeah. He's got another one, says, does the Bible promote white supremacy? No, it doesn't, not really. Because it was written by a bunch of brown people, but it has definitely been used for that. And there definitely are verses that are very explicitly, I don't know, the racist would be the right word, but like very tribal. So like the story of Phinehas and how there was an Israelite man who went into a tent with a Midianite woman, and the intertribal mixing angered Phinehas so much that he just went and murdered them. And then God was like, good for you, Phinehas. So like it explicitly was very much like, yeah, we should murder people that that like have relations with people from outside their tribe. So yeah,
which is
not explicitly white supremacist, but now that Christians are like, yeah, Christians are white.
Yeah, that's the same. That's effectively the same thing as any other run-of-the-mill anti-miscegenation argument.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's even a Twitter account that is named Phinehas, and in their bio they quote that verse. So yeah. And that was the last tweet.
Yay!
So, yay! Ending on a high note.
Is it really a high note to?
It's a high note
end
because
on a conversation.
It's a high note because we're questioning it. Because you go up to the high notes when you're. It's a high note.
God fucking damn it!
Anyway, I have to read about a guy's head that's on display in a school in the UK. Apparently, it's University College in London. So,
fair enough.
Try and talk my kid into wanting to see that. Which they've got a bit of a morbid streak in them, so I could see that being not too hard thing to accomplish.
You just want to sell them on the idea.
Well, it's in London. I don't know how much time we're spending in London. We're mostly going to be up north. And we're only going to be in the UK for a few days before we then gallivant around the rest of Europe.
One day I'll have enough money to do that.
Yeah, well, I've been saving up for this trip since the day that they were born, so this is a rite of passage trip. And I've got 4 more kids to do it with. Anyway.
Oh boy.
So yeah, patreon.com/ViceRhino. I only knew about 3 of the kids when they were born.
You gotta plug it in somewhere.
Oh, yeah, okay. Anyway, I should probably see if anyone's available to raid. Are you streaming after this?
I will be, but I'm going to be AFK for a little bit as I use the restroom, so it may not be the best person to raid.
The only other person that I follow that is live is Jay's 2 cents, and that... I don't know. You want to watch a computer guy play guitar? Because that seems to be what he's doing right now. Sure, why not? Oh, he only just went live. What? No? Is the uptime counter in hours? Because it says you've been up for 3:44, which I assumed it was in minutes before.
Yeah, it should be in hours.
Okay. Sure. Let's raid Jay. Why not? Okay. Thanks for joining us. As always, fuck off.